Hey everyone, and welcome to the $1 million portfolio journey. Today is Wednesday, 27th of August 2025. It's around 1:30 here in London, and I'm gonna do my investment for the day. So for anyone who's new to this channel, the purpose of this channel is to do regular investments and to get to $1 million as soon as possible. So that's the goal of the channel. So what I'm gonna be doing today is I'm gonna be investing £250 into the stock market. I'm gonna be doing it through my ISA, and I'm going to be buying Tesla stock. So that's the plan for today. But before I do that, I'm going to provide a portfolio update to see where I'm at the moment. And then I'm just going to have a look at the companies that I invest in, Tesla, Strategy, and Nvidia, to see how they're doing. So that's the plan at the moment. So let's get into the portfolio to see how it's doing. So my general investment account has exceeded 50k for the first time in about 2 or 3 weeks. So it's 50.5k at the moment. So general investment account, my stocks and shares ISA is over 31k, and my SIP is just over 53k. So remember, just a week ago my general investment account was sitting around 46k. So it's fluctuating quite a lot, but it's going in the right direction. But I don't want it to go up too high too quickly, because I want to try and invest as much money as possible into the markets, because the companies that I've chosen, I believe them to be 10x companies over the next 3 years. So I'm trying to get in as low as possible to see how things pan out. So that's the portfolio update. Let's have a look at the companies that I have in my portfolio. So Tesla is the largest position in my portfolio. Today is a flat around 0.26% pre-market. 7 days is up around 7%. Last month up around 10%. Last 3 months it's been flat. So have been investing over the last 3 months. So the price hasn't run away yet, but I think it's gonna jump soon. I've done a bit of technical analysis, and I'm seeing it's at key resistant points at the moment. So if it does pass these resistance lines, like 360 is a very, very strong resistance. So if it can pass that resistance line, it's more than likely it's going to head to 400. So I want to try and accumulate as much as possible before then. So that's why I'm investing £250 every day the stock market is open into Tesla. So if it reaches 400, it's going to kind of like make it harder to accumulate stocks. At the moment I have over 500. We as a family have over 500 shares in Tesla, which is good, but I'm trying to grow that as much as possible. So that's Tesla. Let's have a look at Strategy pre-market today. So pre-market is flat. It's around the 350 mark. So my price target for Tesla is about 3,000 by 2030. For Strategy is 2,800 by 2030. So those are conservative figures. So again, the reason I'm buying Strategy is because they are the largest Bitcoin treasury companies, and Bitcoin will be going up in the future. I don't know if it's going to be going up like in the next few months, but I think over a 5 to 10 year horizon, this is gonna go up quite a lot, maybe 10x, which is why I'm positioning myself into Strategy through my ISA and my SIP, so I can take advantage of Bitcoin exposure without being in Bitcoin, because the UK government doesn't allow you to buy Bitcoin through your SIP or your ISA, which is really dumb, to be honest with you, because this is a very, very good asset class, and we're not allowed to hold it through our ISA or our SIP. So this is the next best way to do it, rather than holding Bitcoin in cold storage, because you're going to be subject to capital gains taxes and other things. So that's Strategy. That's the reason I'm buying Strategy. So both companies, Strategy and Tesla, are trading around the 350 mark. So again, I think the reason I'm buying more Tesla than Strategy is because I think Tesla has more potential to, you know, go further than $3,000 in the future. So $3,000, my 2030 price target is very, very conservative. I know a lot of people will send messages to me saying, how do I work this out? And I will produce a video to show you my valuation model of Tesla, of strategy, and of Nvidia. But you know, these are very, very conservative estimates. And if Tesla can deliver on autonomy, if they can deliver on robotics, humanoid robots and things like that, then you know 3,000 is a very, very conservative figure. So that's the reason I'm putting a lot of money into Tesla. So now let's have a look at Nvidia to see how it's doing. So Nvidia is at all-time highs at the moment, 182. It reached 183 pre-market. So I believe this is going to go to $200 soon. And once it goes to 200, it'll probably take a breather, go sideways for a little bit, because it is the most valuable company in the world. It's over $4 trillion, I believe, and you know, $4.4 trillion. So I think it could get to 5 trillion, and then it could just stop for a bit before it takes the next leg up. So at the moment, this is the most valuable company in the world. I have got exposure to that, but if it is kind of overbought, then what I may do is rotate a little bit from Nvidia into something like Tesla or MicroStrategy, because my price target over the next 5 years, my 2030 price target for Nvidia is around $600, so a 3x from here, whereas you know, Tesla and strategy is a 10x conservatively. So you know, basically I'm positioning myself within like AI, artificial intelligence, Bitcoin, and graphics chips for the future. So that's my strategy at the moment. So let me go ahead and do my trade. Before I do that, let's have a look at my ISA account. I have £8,728.98 remaining in my ISA allowance. So I have until April 2026, 31st of April 2026 to fill this up to the max. So you know, that is one of my aims, to max this out as much as possible. So I'm going to be investing £250 into my ISA today. So let me top up my ISA now. So £250 into my ISA. I'm going to continue to my bank. So these transfers are usually instant, so they should happen very quickly. So let me have another go at that. Sometimes it's a bit glitchy. So review payment. Just logging in now. Okay, so created the payment summary. Gonna put the £250 into my ISA now. It should take a few moments before it goes into the ISA. Yep, so the top up activity has occurred. Now I'm gonna go back to the ISA to just double check. So that's 250.36, and I have 8478.98 remaining. So let's go into the ISA now, and let's buy some Tesla shares. So I'm gonna buy pre-market today, so 250. I'm not gonna get one share, it's probably gonna 94. So do you see it's going down now? So usually I used to get one share for 250. Now it's gone down to 0.94. So you know, I'm in accumulation mode at the moment. I just want to accumulate as much Tesla as possible, because every pound that I put into Tesla, I believe, and this is not financial advice, I'm just someone in London who's investing in Tesla. So I believe that every £1 I put into Tesla, I will get £10 back in 2030. So I'm putting in £250 today. I will get back 2,500 in 2030, and that's a good return. That's like a CAGR, a compound annual growth rate of between 30 and 40% a year. And you have to do that, because if you think about all the things that we're working against inflation, which is around 15 to 20%. I know CPI shows inflation being 2, 3, 4%, but I've worked in the government before, and I know how statistics can be manipulated to give you a good outcome, especially in the government. So the government are within their guidelines when they do CPI figures, but if you look at reality, if you spend exactly what you spent in 2025 in 2026, you will see that you're spending 15 to 20% more. Like, track your spending and see how much you're spending in 2025, how much you spend in 2026, how much you're spending in 2027. And even if you're careful and you're doing all the right things, you will see there's like a 15 to 20%. So that's the real CPI. The individual CPI is the real CPI. You can't just like blend everybody together, rich, poor, every price together. If there was a feature on your banking app to show you how much money more you're spending every year, like how much it's gone up by, then that would give you a proper, that would give you proper statistics, like real hard facts. So I know for a fact that I spend about 15-20% more every year, and my lifestyle isn't changing on the same things. So I know that CPI is around 15 to 20% for me personally. So you have to just beat the 15 to 20% inflation, and then you got taxation as well that you have to contend with. I pay so many tax, like every time I have some money coming in, I set aside at least 40% for taxation. So again, we're kind of like working against taxation, we're working against inflation, and we just need a company, or we need to invest somewhere where it will at least give us an opportunity to 10x our money. So I think Tesla, Strategy, Nvidia are such companies. So I'm going to be doing £250 today. So I'm going to be confirming the buy, putting the order through. Then I'll just quickly review the order and see how much of an ISA allowance I have remaining. So yes, so the buy order is complete now. Total cost was £249.61. Sterling, number of shares is 0.9481 shares. Price per share 352.40 USD. The FX rate is 1.338. So that's another thing that you have to be aware of. Try to buy as much as possible when the FX rate is not against you, and the FX fee of 97. So you have to be aware of the fees as well. So I'm paying 97 pence, which is around 0.3%. Which is okay, but you should try and keep the FX fee as low as possible. Commission is 0, which is good. So the reason I'm staying within free trade is because commission is 0. So if for example Tesla went to the moon, like there was so much exuberance and everyone is getting ahead of themselves, and I know things revert back to their mean eventually. If it went to 1,000 too quickly, I know it'll probably come back down to 750 or 600. So by having 0 commission, what you can do is rotate from Tesla. You don't have to rotate everything. Rotate like 25% of your position from Tesla, and suppose MicroStrategy, the price of Bitcoin tanked by 20, 30, 40%, and it gave you another opportunity to load up. Then you can nicely just divert your money or rotate your money from Tesla into Strategy, and you can keep on doing that, and you can keep on buying more shares for less money, because that's the key to this game, trying to accumulate your bag as much as possible. So at the moment, I think Tesla is the most compelling investment, which is why I'm investing in it. So that's the investment done. So let me have a look at my ISA allowance again. So I have 8478.98. I'm determined to fill this up this year, fill up my family's ISA, my ISA this year, and then whatever I have remaining, I'm gonna dump it into my SIP and take advantage of the tax relief that's available at source. So this is very much a game where you've got like the odds stacked against you, and you have to beat inflation, you have to beat taxation, you have to think of everything in a tax efficient way, you have to keep your cost minimum, and you just have to play this game and try and beat as much of the things that are against you. So that's what I'm trying to do. My first target is to hit £1 million as soon as possible. So basically I'm over the 200,000 barrier at the moment. When I take into account all the accounts that we have as a family, all our SIPs, all our ISAs, all our GIAs, we are above 200k now. So we're above 200k, so we're 5x away from $1 million, which is my first target. So I expect to hit $1 million between 2027 and 2028, because I'm going to be investing every day, I'm going to be rotating, I'm going to be making moves in the market every day to try and get as much shares for my money. So I expect to hit $1 million between 2027 and 2028. So that's my conservative estimate. Once I hit $1 million, my next target over the next 5 years is to hit 10 million. So I think a lot of people might think it's a very, very grand target, a very something that may be unrealistic, but I'm gonna try my best to give it my best shot. I'm gonna position myself in companies that will do well in the future. So I'm positioning myself at the moment in AI, into Bitcoin, into graphic chip makers, and I think they're going to play a big part in the future. They're going to be the biggest companies in the world. So MicroStrategy, Tesla, Nvidia, they're probably going to be top 10 companies in the world, along with Microsoft, Meta, and things like that. So I'm positioning myself for this boom, and then over the next 5 years, hopefully these companies should 10x, and then review it regularly to see if the thesis still makes sense. And then over the next, once I've hit my million, then I'm going to be thinking over the next 10 years which companies are going to play a leading part in the future. So it could be companies like SpaceX, space exploration, travel, so many things. So you just have to keep your eye on the ball, and you have to see where the technology is headed, and then hopefully you should be able to position yourself in the right company. For the moment, I think Tesla, Strategy, and Nvidia are the companies to be in, and the best way to do it in the UK is to be in an ISA or to be in a SIP and try and just max out as much as possible. So that's my strategy. So to get to 1 million as soon as possible, because living in London is very, very difficult indeed. Like inflation in London, like you get your CPI figures for the whole country. In places like London, it's much worse. Like you get less for your money every year, and a lot of people will say that the wages are higher in London. I agree with that, but the cost far outweigh, like the cost of living far outweigh what we're receiving in income, especially when you take taxes into account. Like energy prices are just going so high. Like I spend like 2,000-3,000 pounds a year on energy prices on a very small 2-bedroom apartment here in London, and rent prices are going up. There's no rent control at all, and you just have to suck it up and pay. So that's why your investments in London need to reflect the real cost of living. So that's why I'm investing quite aggressively. I have only 4 investment rules when it comes to investing. So the target obviously is to hit £1 million, and I have 4 very basic rules. The first rule is long-term investing. So I know I want to hit my million as soon as possible. However, anything that I invest now, I'm going to try and keep it in my portfolio for at least 5 years, so I can take advantage of the compound annual growth rate. So I'm trying to CAGR at least 30% every year and compound it. So if I can get compounding on my side, then inflation and taxation won't be such a big problem. So your CAGR, if you can get CAGR to work for you, if you can get compounding to work for you, then inflation is nothing, taxation is nothing, because you're compounding, you're just compounding over more compounding, and then you're just gonna see your money increase so quickly ahead of inflation and taxation. So that's not a problem. So that's the main thing. I want to do long-term investing, but I've got some lofty goals I want to get to. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is I'm investing very aggressively. So I try to invest at least £250 every day the stock market is open. I've got some lofty aspirations for that as well. I want to invest £500 a day, and maybe even take it to 1,000 a day. So I'm putting into plans, businesses, side hustles. So whenever I make money, I obviously get taxed through my income, and then I get taxed whatever I do. Whatever income I make, I set aside at least 40% for taxation, because I don't want any nasty surprises from the HMRC. And then once I do that, I pay my household bills, and then whatever I have remaining, I put it into the stock market, my ISA and SIP. So I'm a very aggressive investor, and that's rule number two. Invest every day. Rule number three, invest in very volatile companies that will give me a compound annual growth rate of at least 30% a year. And I think they're the future. So Tesla, strategy, and Nvidia hit that requirement. And it is painful to hold these companies because they could go down by 40-50%, but remember, it's the average compound annual growth rate I'm looking at. Some years it might 2 or 3x, some years it might half. So roughly I'm looking at 30% CAGR for Tesla, strategy, and Nvidia. So that would help me stay ahead of inflation and taxation. And finally, I'm a very tax efficient and cost effective investor. So tax efficient meaning I'll always max out my ISA, because there's no capital gains tax you have to pay on that. And I'll always max out my SIP, because I'll get tax relief at source. So that's the most important thing. And I will always keep an eye out on costs. So FX fee, commission fee, I want to try and keep it as low as possible and take advantage of any offers that I have. So I'm at free trade with the moment, but if Invest Engine was to provide a better service, or better, lower costs, lower commission, then I wouldn't hesitate to switch to Invest Engine. So it's very important to keep my costs down. So those are the 4 rules, and hopefully they will help me achieve my goals of hitting 1 million by 2027, 2028, and then 10 million by 2032, 2033, and hopefully 100 million by 2038. And then who knows where I could go potentially if I continue like that. So that's all for today. Join me on my journey. If you're happy with investing £100 in index funds every month, then do so. There's nothing wrong with that. I commend you, I salute you, do whatever you have to do. But living in London is difficult, and you just have to make your money work harder for you. If you want to live in a country like the UK, if you want to live well in London, then you just have to take your investment. You have to take the bulls by the horn, as we say here in London. You just have to take control of your financial future. So start doing some investment today. Look at how you can make it hyper, how you can make your investments very tax efficient. Find some companies that you can buy where the companies are like proper solid, and it will give you a compound annual growth rate of at least 30%, because that's what you should be looking for. Do some more research into taxation and inflation, and see how you can mitigate your taxation, see how you can mitigate your inflation levels. So if you can do that, that's even better. And then just have a strategy in place, and constantly be reviewing the strategy to see if you're doing the right thing, and be patient. you have to be patient. Just last week, my GIA, general investment account, my GIA was around 46k. My stocks and shares ISA were around 26k, and my SIP was around 47k, I believe, and it's gone up today. So you have to be patient, you have to have balls as well. If my GIA went down to 25k, if my stocks and shares went down to 15, would you be comfortable? And I think I've had enough exposure in the stock market to be comfortable at these levels. It is painful when your investment goes down, but you just have to like have the balls to handle it, basically. So that's what I'm training myself to do. I'm not gonna cry when it goes down to 25k. It's probably gonna suck for a little bit, but I know that these are solid companies and they will go up in value. So it's an opportunity to like get it at a discount. So that's it for today. If you found this video useful or entertaining, or if you want to follow me on my journey, see if I hit my million or see if I go to zero, feel free to subscribe and see what happens. And I will do updates every day, so join me on my journey and leave a comment below if you have any questions at all. So I will bring you another video tomorrow. So until then, have a great day. Take care. Bye.